Good afternoon, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to welcome you all to this gathering. On behalf of the legal fraternity here at Punjab and Haryana High Court, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Honorable the Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Arun Palli, President, Indian Law Institute, State Unit, for encouraging such academic discussions and through such sessions enabling us to engage in legal discourse. Today's session is being organized by the Indian Law Institute State Unit in association with the Societies of Indian Law Firms and Bar Council of India. In a landscape that is ever evolving, the exchange of ideas, sharing of experiences, and fostering collaborative spirits are more crucial than ever. Each of your firm contributes to the legal tapestry of the rich culture across various courts in India. The intent and endeavor of today's session is for us lawyers here at Punjab and Haryana High Court to get a better understanding, to learn as to how the culture and the working of law firms, how law firms operate, the roadblocks and obstacles faced, and the means and tools and the skills required for us to venture into this field, this area of practice, since in Chandigarh the culture of firms is not so prominent, rather dormant. So with your legal expertise and your experience of many years, today we hope and we aim to equip ourselves with those tools so that we can venture ahead. So to give us a master class on law firms, their governance, their foundation, the scaling, and how to turn it into a successful model, we have legal luminaries from the most established law firms across the country. We have Mr. Lalit Bhasin, President, Societies of Indian Law Firms and Managing Partner, Bhasin and Company. We have Ms. Rupinder Malik, Senior Partner and Member Executive, J. Sagar Associates. Mr. Ajay Sahani, Senior Partner and Head North, Sri Lamarchand and Mangaldas. Mr. Hardeep Sachdeva, Senior Partner, AZB and Partners. Mr. Siddharth Kumar, Senior Partner, Dua Associates. Mr. Sahil Narang, Partner, Khaitan and Company, and Mr. Amrinder Singh, Partner, Lakshmi Narayan and Sridharan. We welcome you all and we thank you for taking time out from your busy schedules to be here with us today. Without further ado, let's begin with today's session. We have amongst us Mr. Lalit Bhasin, who started his practice in 1962 and developed Bhasin and Company as one of the largest law firms. So sir was the youngest chairman of Bar Council of Delhi. At the age of 33, he achieved that, and he has also received accolades from Prime Minister at the Plaque of Honor from Prime Minister in 2002, and he has been known for his contributions for rule of law, and he is a master in arbitration. So over to you, sir.
It is a great privilege to be here on the premises of Punjab and Haryana High Court. I don't know whether most of you know about it or not. Originally there was only Punjab High Court. Even Delhi, you see, was a part of the jurisdiction of Punjab High Court, Himachal Pradesh, and the headquarter was in Lahore, you see. So this is like a mother high court, particularly for the high courts in this region now. Thereafter Delhi High Court came, Himachal came, and every high court has got it. So it's indeed a privilege. And I had the fortune to appear before the original Punjab High Court when they used to have a circuit bench come to Delhi, and also circuit benches going to Shimla for the Himachal. So it's a good initiative. I don't know what we can contribute to the theme of your discussion today, but at least it is good to meet our various colleagues, and those also the young colleagues here. And I always believe that it is a learning experience for all of us who have seen decades of law practice, at least speaking for myself. They are all young colleagues, but I am only talking about myself. Now, the theme is about the law firms. There were, say, in 1950 till 1960s, 70s, very few law firms, established law firms, which were established during the British regime. Crawford Bailey, Little and Co., then Orr Dignam. These were the British law firms which carried on. And the work that they were doing essentially was general practice or conveyancing, that is transfer of properties, or even establishing, forming companies and all that. There was no corporate law practice at that point of time, and there were very few law firms, only confined to Bombay, Kolkata, and Madras. Later on, Delhi also saw the growth in 1970s when J.B. Dadachandji came in, Rajendra Narayan and company came in, Anand Sagar Das Gupta came in. So that was all that. My firm was also established, you see, in 1970, 71. So there was, as I said, no corporate work at that point of time. There was a big increase in the number of the law firms during late 80s and early 90s when India's economy opened up. What was the meaning of that economic opening up of the country? That there was more business, there were more corporates coming in, big corporates. They required good advice, how to set up companies, how to enter into joint collaborations, joint ventures, which was unknown till that time. So 1990s saw the big growth of the law firms, and we have now in our Society of Indian Law Firms, we have 140 established law firms from all over the country. Now these law firms have been set up because of the economic development of the country and the particular states, you see, where they are. They were not set up on their own in the sense, because there was felt a need to have those. Therefore, when in Punjab and Haryana or Himachal or Jammu Kashmir, you talk about how the law firms can be set up, there is no hard and fast formula or a ready-made, tailor-made, formula for you. It depends upon the economic development of the region. If there is economic activity, it will automatically result in formation of good law firms in this region. Therefore, it has to be synonymous with development, economic development, and that is how the new law firms have come up besides the established law firms. So, anything? Yeah. Yeah. So I have, you see, my very, very eminent colleagues here. You have named them. They represent the topmost law firms of the country. Some of them were even set up in 90s. They were not there prior to that. So their experience may throw some light, you see, on what you hope to hear from us. So with this, I request my colleagues one by one to just give a brief introduction. Is that the procedure we'll follow? Okay. So over to you, Hardeep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Shall I say good evening or good afternoon to everyone. And it is indeed a privilege for me as well to come here to Punjab and Haryana High Court, and also a privilege to come with Dr. Bhasin. I mean, I don't know how many of you know him very well. He is a luminary in the field of law in our country. He is one of those, he's laid the foundation stone for law firms in the country. So he set up his own law firm in 1970s, early 70s. And I can say that when I joined a law firm in 1995, till that time, the culture wasn't there as it is grown today. It wasn't grown at that point in time. So for 24 years, he ran a law firm himself. I mean, even up till today, he's running it. But when I joined the profession, till that time, there weren't very many law firms, As far as my own background is concerned, I think I'm odd man out today here because I can see everybody here except for Dr. Bhasin are from Chandigarh. I'm not from Chandigarh, although I have some roots of mine going back to Punjab. I'm from Delhi actually. But yeah, it's a good city, wonderful city to come and be part of this conversation. I joined a law firm in 1995. I graduated from Faculty of Law, Delhi University in 1995, and then I joined a law firm called Ajay Bahal and Company. At that time, it was a sole proprietorship law firm run by Mr. Ajay Bahal, who has great regard for Dr. Bhasin. Of course, he knows him very well. And in year 2000, we had made a partnership firm of Ajay Bahal and Company. In year 2004, we had a merger with Chambers of Zia and Behra. We made it a AZB in partners. So it's been 30 years of law practice, 30 years of working in the same place, 30 years of spending time in the corporate law firm. Although maybe I can pick that later, but one thing I must tell you is that if you want to be a lawyer, it will have to be your internal entrepreneurial skills that can define you beyond being a lawyer. I think gone are the days when lawyer can simply be just doing a job. I think the days today are the lawyers to be as enterprising. For me, being part of the firm here, it could not have been working as an employee of the firm. It has only been an entrepreneur who can have entrepreneurial skills to grow your practice yourself. And, while we were coming and when we saw the agenda as well, we looked at a few things as to why there aren't any law firms in a place like Chandigarh, where, quite honestly, there should have been some law firm culture here as well. Why should have been? For in my view, two primary reasons. We are so close to Delhi. We are so close to Delhi means that the quality of lawyers that you can get within your vicinity is very high. The quality of clients that you can get today, because the clients means the large corporates are usually based in Delhi or Bombay. So your ability to service clients, Delhi means Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, the whole NCR. Your ability to get the clients from the biggest hub in India is very high because you are very close to Delhi. Your ability to service clients at a most competitive price is also very high, because when you start up something yourself, your ability to be more competitive in pricing or create efficiency in pricing is also very high. So yeah, we have I think we have the key ingredients that should have been here to set up a law firm in a place like Chandigarh as well. But as Sir mentioned, is that evolution of law firms. I mean, if we speak about law firms, we speak more about corporate law firms, not just only litigation law firms. Although firms like us all of us do corporate and litigation as well. So when I say law firm, it means primarily corporate law firm, also in litigation. So in our view, when you talk about setting up of law firm, I think what we need to have is those entrepreneurial skills amongst our younger generation to start planning for it, to start thinking about it. I think it's a good initiative. It's a good start that we are having today. And I think in time to come, we will certainly see some traction in setting up of corporate law firms as well. I I don't want to take the whole time. We can just come back on this one later, sir.
Yeah, the important thing is corporate clients. How to have corporate clients? If you have corporate clients, then you will set up the law firms. And besides having corporate clients, you must have some sort of familiarization with the corporate laws. The litigation in the high courts, both in Punjab, Haryana, and even in Delhi High Court to a large extent, you see, is connected with commercial disputes and all that. You have to develop that specialization in corporate laws when the joint ventures, mergers and acquisitions, these require specialization. If the clients come to you, but you don't have that specialization, how can you render service to the clients? Therefore, having good clients is the foremost thing, but simultaneously, contemporaneously, you must develop specialization. Fortunately, you have a bench of NCLT also in Chandigarh, so that can give a good opportunity, you see. Although mainly the cases, they are insolvency cases before hardly any matters of company laws which come to the NCLT matter, but still, it is a good opening, you see, for that. So now, I request my colleague here to give the...
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. And I'm back in the courts where literally I didn't start from here, but this is the city that I grew in. So a lot of fond memories of Chandigarh. So it's nice to be back here. So just as a quick introduction, which partially has been given, but I've been in practice for nearly 30 years now. And I started my practice more like a litigator or an all-rounder. In those days, the specialization was exactly what Mr. Bhasin's talking about. It was still kind of limited. And the focus was not as much. So we did everything, going to the courts and doing banking documents, doing lease documents, doing corporate documents, everything. And then I was, of course, in Delhi, and I practiced in Delhi, worked with a law firm there, and then moved on to a foreign law firm, Baker & McKenzie, which is one of the world's largest law firms, and nearly worked for a decade there and did all India-related work, and then moved back around 14 years ago to India, and then joined JSA. I don't know how many of you are familiar with JSA. Since the basic other conversations have happened, high-level inputs have been given. So let me talk a little bit about the firm so that you have an idea what kind of firms are set up. And of course, my colleagues here will be talking about a little different setup than what I'm going to be talking about. So JSA was founded in 1991. And it was founded by a sole practitioner, Jyoti Sagar, and with just one office boy. That's how we started the firm. And, slowly started to expand, started to bring in specialization, and started to bring in more people. By 1998 is when we opened the partnership, got in the first first set of partners into the firm, and kept expanding. And today we are 800 colleagues, 600 plus lawyers. We are in 7 cities. The whole vision of setting JSA was a bit different. It was to move away from family-run firms. And we are a purely institutionalized professional firm, not that the others are not, but more focused on the way we are structured. There's no family at all. In fact, we have a no family rule in the firm. And we have, in terms of how it is led, it is an executive committee which runs the firm. We have 5 members who get elected every 3 years, and it's an election, it's completely democratic, and they are the ones who run. Did you switch off my mic, Hardeep? All right. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. A little bit.
It just went off. It just went off at the right time.
Okay, all right. Standing out a little here. Okay, yeah. So that's how we are structured. It's an executive committee which runs the firm and gets elected, as I said, and then we have a separate committee which is called the Professional Development Committee, which looks at the compensation of the partners, which looks at the implementation of the code of conduct. Then we have a separate person who runs the business development, a separate CFO and IT head, and I think which would be very similar in most of the firms. We have professionals, which run these verticals in the firm. We have around, so there are three, and I think going to your question in terms of Chandigarh and setting firm, a law firm here, I think as I see it, there'll be more focus on litigation and maybe lesser focus on corporate because that's the market you are in. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a firm. It's only about what percentage of your work is in which particular practice area. So like our three key practice areas are corporate, finance, and I'm saying it very broadly, and litigation, which includes arbitration and everything commercial, civil, and criminal. And in the corporate side, of course, there are 30 verticals that we cover. So it all depends on how you can structure it, but of course, there is a demand. There is a demand. We feel that in tier 2 cities, it's good to see, of course, Lakshmi Kumaran is here and so is Dua Associates. And I don't know if there are other firms, but there is a potential. And I'll be happy to elaborate on the structure, on the setup. I won't take too much time because my colleagues will also talk a little bit about the setup that they have. So with that, thank you so much. And I do want to mention one thing. I'm also a chair of the International Bar Association of Law Firm Management Committee. So in terms of the learnings that we get there, and in the past, I think there isn't been many firms from India or lawyers from India who've been a part of, an international bar association, particularly from a law firm management perspective. So I would say that we've come a long way as a country. The Secretary General. You stand out, right, from all of the. Yes, so it's been great, and of course we are now 140 firms, but I think majority of that we see it in tier 1 cities, and we hope to see more in tier 2 cities as well. So thank you with that.
Thank you, Rupinder Malik. She represents one of the topmost law firms, not just recognized in India, but I think all over the world, and set up by one individual. So that is like an example to you how the firms can grow if there is the requisite strength, commitment, dedication to develop the law firm. Jyoti Sagar, who is a very dear friend, and he is also my associate president of the Society of Indian Law Firms. He is now doing some missionary work, use of simple language for the law students and in the courts. He produced, some series on use of simple language, because if you draft an agreement, there will be 10 recitals, whereas, and whereas, and whereas, so many things, go on and on and on. So, he's really doing a great work, and that is how this firm has come up. I have seen the firm grow, because Jyoti Sagar and I, we appeared against each other in courts also. Therefore, I know how much committed he is to the cause of promoting legal profession in the country. Not just, his own firm, That is the commitment. So we also have now the representative of India's indisputably one of the topmost law firms, that is the Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, Ms. Ajay Sawhney. So please enlighten us. She gave the introduction.
Hi, thank you. I thank you so much for having us over, and it's a privilege, to be a part of all of you today. I have walked the corridors of this High Court, 2003, 2004, before I left for my education overseas, and then I came back and joined a law firm in Delhi. Just to give you a background of who we are, the firm carries a legacy of over 100 years. About 10 years back, the firm split into two. We separated the management and the firm. So we now have Shardul Amarchand and Cyril Amarchand. About Cyril Amarchand, we are about 1,200 lawyers. We have about 7 offices in India. We have offices in Singapore, Abu Dhabi as well. We are a very heavy family-driven firm, as my friend highlighted. But pretty much with the ingredient or everything else, that my colleague highlighted. We have our own independent governing board. We have senior partners. We have a partnership council. We have remuneration committee. So we have all the other ingredients which most of the, top-notch Indian and international firms have. We are growing in size. We draw inspiration from a lot of other colleague firms. JS is an excellent firm. AZB is an excellent firm. And we continue to make our stride, in the profession. We were the first firm to launch our own AI initiative in 2017. When we got over Kira, one of our softwares which has been helping our lawyers, we very recently inducted Harvey and Lucio. That's the new software that we are testing now internally, which is going to help our associates, our partners, our business administrative services, to enhance their capabilities to deliver. We've also been studying the landscape of what we call as North. And as Hardeep said, right, you need to have entrepreneurial mindset to have a law firm, to grow it. We see a lot of potential in areas like Punjab, areas like J&K. We see huge client base here. So I really don't think that, you need to start looking outwards to think of having firms here. You've got a very fertile belt of large business houses emanating from Jalandhar, from Ludhiana, from Jammu, from Kashmir, and I think some of the real big corporates are coming out of these cities into Bombay and Delhi, right? So there is a potential area that can be tapped here, and I think then I move on to what Dr. Bhasin said, right? It is about going to be the mindset, right? It's just not going to be about litigation. You need to have the know-how of corporate laws, M&A, infrastructure, projects. All of this is a developing area up in North, right? So I think with the right mindset, entrepreneurial skills, and good administrative positions, it's possible to set up, law firms, scale them up out of Chandigarh, out of areas near to Chandigarh. I think there's a lot of potential, and that needs to be tapped. So people who walked out of these courtrooms have gone to Bombay and Delhi and have come back to this court as partners of these big law firms. I think all our colleagues here can start something and make it big at some point of time.
Thank you, Ajay. One thing I think which has to be kept in mind, and that is where I have a slight disagreement with how the top law firms of our country, they function. And the message is particularly for the youngsters here, young lawyers, that keep it a profession, don't make it a business. That is the big responsibility on the legal profession. We have inherited this from our founding fathers of the Constitution and even prior to that. Therefore, form your law firms But keep that principle in mind that you have to give to the society also. Society has made you what you are. I have seen law firms having PR departments, public relations departments. I have seen law firms having HR departments and all that. And of course, financial and all that. But that makes it almost like a business, that is being carried on. So my appeal has been particularly to the young and the emerging law firms which have come up in a big way. And they adhere to that yes, there has to be some pro bono work, some free advice to our deserving and needy citizens. That has to be kept in mind side by side with your own development in the progress in the profession. We have to make money. After all, that is our profession. But let us make it by way of a profession, not by running it as a business, as most of the law firms overseas, they are doing. They are even listed on the stock exchanges. There is a capital infusion by even non-lawyers in the law firms there. So we don't want to follow that example. We have to follow our traditions, our culture, our heritage. One of the most eminent law firms that we have in the country is that of Mr. Lakshmi Kumaran. He's set up the law firm Lakshmi Kumaran. He's one lawyer who is also a litigation lawyer. Very few law firms managing partners, they appear themselves in the courts. But I see him in the Supreme Court almost every day. His expertise is, of course, taxation and both direct and indirect. So we have a very eminent representative, you see, Mr. Amrinder Singh here. Please enlighten us.
So I started in Delhi at one of the top few law firms. I was doing corporate law, but then I wanted to shift to litigation. While I was litigating, I came across Mr. Lakshmi Kumaran and he wanted to open an office here. Lakshmi Kumaran as a firm has around 14 offices, so we are heavily present in tier 2 cities. And we are a litigation-based firm. And I feel a little out of place on this panel. I'd rather be there asking them the questions because I need to learn from them, because I'm still learning. I'm just 14 years into the profession.
You and I are in the same boat.
No, certainly not, sir. Certainly not. I'm feeling a little out of place here. I'd rather be with my colleagues there. But there have been, I couldn't add more as to how a law firm can be set up. And Mr. Kumar has been here. He had his own firm and then merged with Dua. But there are some, my only nascent thoughts which I've seen, at least engaging with the bar here, is that we need to move from a mentality of just being a counsel. While whatever law firm, whether it's litigation-based, transaction-based, whatever, you have to think just beyond that matter, which is what I find when I interact with my colleagues here, where you're thinking just about that matter and not about the relationship. There's sometimes you will give advice to a client which perhaps is not palatable, which he will not be able to, he'll not accept it, but that's what's good for him. And that's what our profession demands. Only when you do such, you take such steps, do you end up building a relationship. And that is what I see here, where it's not like a service-based sort of mentality. The client is king ultimately. You have your values, but you also have to service the client, which is what I feel here. The focus is only on that matter and nothing more. Whereas when you come into a firm, you think more than just the matter, you think about the relationship. So those are just my preliminary thoughts. Siddharth sir can definitely add.
Thank you very much. In litigation, we are seeing use of technology. I was sharing a head table with the former Chief Justice of India, Dhananjay Chandrachud, and he highlighted, you see, how there has been ease of filing of cases, online, evidence, affidavits, everything can be done, you see, online. Virtual hearings, lawyers sitting in Goa can address high courts, you see, in Chandigarh and all that. That has been going on. So after his address, I had to speak to give my concluding address. And I said, this is a commendable thing that you have done, ease of filing, because it has reduced costs, and virtual hearings have also reduced costs for the litigants also. But what happens about the disposal? I have seen, and I can tell you with my 63 years of law practice, that we have reached a stage where the entire system, so far litigation is concerned, will break down if we do not find ways and means to reduce the notorious loss, delays and disposal. According to official figures, in 2023, there were 5 crore cases. Now, because of ease of filing of cases, it has gone up to 6 crores. And lawyers and courts have been using technology and now AI. But has it helped in disposal of cases? Because disposal can only come from here, not from the technologies and these mobile phones and laptops and all that we use. Because facts of two cases are not similar. Cases have to be decided on their own facts. Therefore, even if you go to ChatGPT or Google search and all that, you will not find answers. And if you find answers, most of the time they'll be wrong answers. Therefore, you should be mindful, particularly in the law firms also, to use technology as a tool, but don't become a slave to the technology. You are the master of technology. Therefore, don't do that. And try to do, as I said, social responsibility, how to reduce the number of cases. That is a big responsibility on the profession also, because we deal with clients. Clients want justice. Are the citizens of this country getting justice with 5-6 crore cases pending? That is where you have to encourage and promote settlement of disputes. Some of my lawyer friends, they oppose me because they think that their practice will go down if they try to settle the matters and all that. No. In the final analysis, in the long run, the client will have faith in you that here is the lawyer who really wants us to settle the matter. And what Lord Denning said, a bad settlement is better than successful litigation. So inculcate that feeling, you see. I'm slightly away from the theme, but because so many youngsters are here, I want to tell them, you see, that this is their responsibility. Our generation has failed, but you people can still bring justice, which is enshrined in the preamble of our Constitution, justice, social, economic, political. Bring that to the people of this country. I appeal to you to do that. Yeah. Now, I would request, he's a local person, but representing one of the topmost law firms. At that time, this Dua was actually one of the few law firms there. Ranjit Dua, C.R. Dua, he was son of former Chief Justice of Delhi High Court and Judge Supreme Court, Justice I.D. Dua, Inder Dev Dua. He set up this firm, getting the work from Jimmy Dada Chandji, who had set up the firm of J.B. Dada Chandji and Co. the finest litigation firm at that point of time in the country. So I'm very pleased to introduce to you Mr. Siddharth Kumar Dua, firm Dua Associates, who is based in Chandigarh and running the firm. So his experience will be very helpful.
Thank you, sir, and all distinguished guests, members of the bar. Actually, it's home to me, and I enrolled with this bar way back. I think it's over 2 decades. And I wanted to be a litigator, much like you all, so I'm going to say things which will resonate with you. And I wanted to be a litigator, and as you would know, and I'm very, very proud to say that, I was the first associate to Senior Counsel Arun Palli's office when I joined the profession. He was on an upward trajectory, not yet elevated to the bar. But I spent about 3 years with him, and it was outstanding because he had a mixed practice. He was, as most of you know, he's a shark on the civil side, constitution and other matters, and he was also doing a little bit of corporate work. And I, much like you all, wanted to make a mark here as a litigator. And now what I'm going to tell you is some of the things are ordained and they're not in your hands. This profession is a test match and it's not a 2020. I think all young people want it quick and fast. I want you to brace yourself, enjoy the journey, and the journey is the destination. So, having said that, I tried hard to be a litigator. I got no work. Maybe I just got 4 matters in the whole year. I was disillusioned, like maybe some of you are going through that, and it's all right. It's a process. And tried hard, went out. Some people told me you should go to the districts and, fetch work, use your network. These are all the old tricks. Meet other fellow counsels, beg, borrow, steal, try and get into panels, do whatever it takes to get work. And I did try all that. Didn't make much headway. And then something happened. Baddi was a small town near the periphery of Haryana and Himachal, and about an hour from here. And Baddi was given SOPs. And you had all these large pharma and other companies from all over the countryside who were coming to avail those SOPs because they were excise and tax exemptions for about 10 years. And while I was in Mr. Palli's office, and he being a hardcore litigator, and I'm happy to share, there was a client and the general counsel of a company called Cadila Pharmaceuticals who walked in. And he came, and since I was the only associate there, he sat with me for about 20 minutes, and I took him in. And I said he wants to get a due diligence done. And Mr. Palli, being a litigator, politely told me, you tell him to go outside. I said, okay. I asked him to sit outside, and he said, what the heck is that? I said, sir, I think he wants to set up a company here and acquire land, and he wants to do diligence and title search. He said, I don't do that. So I said, I know we don't do that, but can I do that? And he looked at me with a very straight gaze, as you must have seen in the courtrooms. And he said, nak na katai. Main nak nahi katavanga. I'm going to speak in Hindustani so you all understand the emotion of it. And that was my journey. I took that assignment. I went to Baddi. I was fortunate that I did understand revenue law in his office. And I did a diligence for the last 30 years on that. Sat in the Patwari's office for good about a couple of days. And I also realized there was so much of work that I couldn't have done it alone. So I found another colleague from the same office who was well versed in the revenue laws. And we tag teamed, and much like all of us work in teams, we worked together and we made a success out of it. Having done that, I think companies follow companies and the early movers who come in. It just so happened that the next big boy who was coming from Mumbai and Gujarat connected with Cadila and asked them that, who did your work? And they had a good word to say. And I will not throw names now, but we, by the end of 2 years, had almost about 100 of the blue chips who were sitting in my office. And much like you all, I set up my office and in the garage of my house. And that's how our practice started. And we set up a small firm with 2 partners and organically grew over the last couple of years. And in about 7-8 years, we were a larger team. We had more experience. And I think we just kept doing whatever came our way. And sometimes you cannot plan. You need to be adaptive. You need to be open. And like Amrinder said, think beyond your brief and think beyond what's lying before you. Advocacy, advisory, consulting is a part of our profession. And you can take a leap and a next step and believe in yourself. And so much so that about 10 years back, we merged with Dua. And I'm a homegrown boy. My story is as open as it can be. I am local, much like Amrinder. I think if I can do it, we all are born with the same physicality and skills. Each one of you can. Believe in yourself. I must congratulate you. You're in the best profession of the world. I think law is a life skill. Even if you're not practicing it, it enhances you and sets you up for so many things in life, even if you want to go into politics later on or be an entrepreneur or whatever you would like to do. And God bless you. You're a great young audience, and we are happy for Q&A. I will not dwell into how the structures are and how other firms are structured. I think you can get insight into that from all of my colleagues. And it's an absolute honor to be here. One more thing before I forget. While I was going through this journey, I asked Palli Saab when I was absolutely very, very disillusioned because now I'd also got married and I was getting $5,000 and I didn't know what was going to happen. And I told him in absolute earnest, sir, how long do you think it is going to take when I can be settled? So he asked me, and these were his exact words, and I want you to draw inspiration from this. He said, "Kar apna hai." मैं कहा जी घर अपना है. कहता रोटी मिलेगी. मैं कहा रोटी मिलेगी. कहता then 5 years. And I said, are you kidding me? 5 years? Then it's already been 2. He said, हाँ फिर तेनू आदत पै जाएगी. So, and that is very true to this profession. Give it time. Give it 5 years. Give it 7 years. Be patient with yourself. Roll up your sleeves. Keep doing the hard work. And each one of us can be a success. And cheers to you all. And thank you for hosting us.
Thank you. You see, Khaitan and Company is one of the oldest and these days one of the largest law firms. It started in Kolkata, then it came to Delhi, and now the full-fledged office in Mumbai and possibly some other places. Currently it is led by Mr. Haigreev Khaitan and Mr. Rabindra Jhunjhunwala. We have a very eminent representative of this great law firm, Khaitan and Company, that is Mr. Sahil Narang, who will share his perceptions with us and experience with us.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So to speak last is both a daunting task and also it's very easy. I can very well summarize what everybody has said and get away with it. And it's daunting because I have to fill in the shoes of so many panelists who, have more than 2 decades of experience. And I only have 15 years. Be that as it may, I'll try to do both. I will try to share with you my personal experiences, which I had, because this in a way is like a homecoming to me. I belong to a very small town, Abohar in Punjab, and my father fortunately was a lawyer. That's where my early, so to say, training happened. I wanted to be an engineer. In 11th, 12th, I did non-medical. I gave the IIT. But ultimately, I thought that I should do law. I did my law from the Department of Laws, Punjab University, Chandigarh. and therefore had to, it's obviously, I had to visit the courts here, and I usually regularly visited Punjab Haryana High Court. I also happened to intern with one of the eminent lawyers, Mr. Khungar here, and his office while I was in my law school here. That time I realized that, as my panelist here, Rupinder, put it, that people were, most likely to treat it as a dispute resolution aid, and they never thought about dispute avoidance. Also, of course, there was a big gap. There was no advisory service. There was no corporate culture at that point of time in Chandigarh. There were only very few firms. I'm not sure which big firm was there at that time, 2008 I'm talking about. But I interned with one of the firms, Malhotra and Malhotra. They used to do private international law work at that time. But I had that thing in me that I wanted to do something more. I did not get an opportunity to go abroad because of some family reasons, but I then happened to do masters. While doing masters, I got exposure to intern with a big firm, Khaitan & Co. They were very kind enough to give me a pre-placement offer. I was a trainee in Khaitan & Co. and I'm homebred, homegrown. Have been with Khaitan & Co. for more than 15 years now, because I did my masters and thereafter I started with them. So it has been a very long journey for me. Of course, nothing as compared to my co-panelists here who have been practicing for more than 20, 30, 40 years. 30 years. 30 years. Same place. Yes. So just one small cue that I wanted to take from what Pinder said. I think the time has come that we think beyond the brief. The time has come for us to think how to avoid a dispute rather than, get a client and get a fee on a brief. So dispute avoidance today is a large part of our practice. Clients come to us well in advance so that they can avoid a dispute. And I think more than 30-40% of our practice, and I'm speaking for all my panelists here, co-panelists here, is dispute avoidance. And only when dispute can't be avoided, we get to go to courts or tribunals or wherever we want, we can go. So I think that's where all of us should aim to go ultimately. And the best way to do this is actually to sort of have a institutional framework in which more than two lawyers, they come together and they form kind of a setup with specialization which each one of you has. As an example, some of you will be very good in writ jurisdiction. Some of you would be very good with rent matters. So maybe even two of you can come together and maybe form some sort of a firm and portray to the client that we are doing this for you. And I also see that lawyers here do not go out and they're not visible. I'm not sure why it so happens. They're not visible in the market. They're very talented, I'm sure. I mean, I've worked with a few of the lawyers in the Punjab and Haryana High Court, and I can tell you that they are fabulous lawyers. They have wonderful knowledge. So I think that's also another thing that needs to be done. Lastly, my colleagues have spoken about big firms, and I represent Khaitan & Co., one of the biggest firms, and I was given a very big responsibility when I saw the co-panelists. I was like, I'm the junior most. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to do justice, but Mr. Khaitan, he was kind enough to nominate me because he said that you are connected to that place, therefore you should go there and speak to people. They will connect with you. So Khaitan & Co. has more than 1,200 lawyers today, and we have more than 200 partners. Of course, one of the biggest firms. It's a professionally run firm. Of course, the family name still runs in the firm name, but it's a professionally run firm. We have committees for everything. We have professionals running everything. Of course, I mean, it's good or bad. I understand Mr. Bhasin just made a point that you should not make it as a business, but I think the scale, the money, and I mean, whatever you want to achieve comes with some sort of an institutionalization. So that's it. That's my 2 cents after such enlightening thoughts. And I've come here as a student. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your very practical hints that you have given. We would like to encourage some questions and answers.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, my fellow members. Mr. Narang, if I could ask you one question. Well, we share the same department. I also graduated from there. And somewhat similar story, and cutting it very short, my question is very precise. That, like you said, very rightly pointed out, we are not really, one big reason is we as institutional and very traditional lawyers, we are not much seen in the market. And secondly, there is something more which we can do. That's what you said. So could you kindly tell exactly what is there that we can do? Yes, what you said is right, but if I were to take one step today or maybe tomorrow, so what that could be? Thank you.
Yes, I'll be very. So I think quickly on the point, lawyers cannot solicit, they cannot advertise, right? So we have to be in the boundaries of the limit that the law has set. So therefore, I feel that we can do this through academic, routes, which is to write more. That can be the first step. And nowadays, there are so many publications. You can really publish your thoughts on them. They are both online and offline. That can be one thing. Second is to organize seminars, or speak on some topic wherever. In like this one is a good forum. That improves your knowledge and also your visibility among colleagues and others. These are 2 points, of course, if anybody would like to add to this.
Good evening to the panelists.
Just one thing. Even if you don't get the opportunities for seminars and webinars, you could do podcast. There are many opportunities for you to show your legal skills and not really technically call it soliciting, but talk about your experience and learning. So podcast is another option.
Very good evening to the panelists. So my question is, can you just explain the hierarchy which is followed in the firm, and how, in what span of time the partners get promoted for their higher ranks?
Thank you. Yeah. See, largely all the law firms sitting here, all of us, no exception made, we follow a very hard merit-based evaluation of our lawyers. The merit-based evaluation requires for progression in profession, you should have completed at least 4 years to be a senior associate. So you join any law firm here as an associate, you become senior associate in 4 years, or 4 to 5 years, depending on which firm we're talking about here. Us is 5. And then to become a partner or a counsel, the benchmark is 8 years. Now some have 8, some may have 9, some may have 10. To become partner in any of law firms sitting here, then the next progression is to become senior partner or a equity partner. Now in between senior associate and partner, one can become counsel as well. Counsel means that you may take some more time to progress to be a partner, which you will in time to come, but you are made counsel because of variety of reasons as of now. But from being a partner to a senior partner or to an equity partner, the threshold followed by most of the law firms in the country is 15 years. Now when I say number of years, it is not cast in stone number of years that just because you've done 15, 5, 8 years, you will be promoted. It is extremely merit-based. Now merit-based means you have to be a top performer, a very good lawyer, you have to deliver various things. And when I spoke about, just quickly, at the beginning of the whole session, I spoke about people to be entrepreneurial to set up a law firm here. I think two things there. One is that when I say entrepreneurial, it does not mean that you guys have to be in the business of law. It simply means that assume that responsibility, take that risk that a lawyer should take. Now, one is that we all are happy to come to this court here. We all will get some work here. We all will go back and, as we heard our dear friend saying, it may take you 5 years, it may take you 6 years to reach to some stage here. But then what I realize is that on this panel itself, we have one guy who had taken that entrepreneurial journey at the right stage to do something which a normal course lawyer may or may not do, which is थोड़ा कम लेंगे या शायद कुछ भी नहीं ले पाएंगे इस साल में, but कुछ करके दिखाएंगे अपने आप. This is what I call an entrepreneurial journey. It is that get that feeling of being an enterprise yourself. Doesn't mean forget your ethos, doesn't mean compromise your profession, of course not. Be fully committed to your profession, but do something which is beyond what the job is. We are not employees, we are professionals. As professionals, God has made us to take any risk. If we take those, we will reach to the right point. And then I feel that Chandigarh is no more a tier 2 city. I keep hearing the word tier 2. We are not tier 2. Chandigarh, according to me, is tier 1 city. You can't have more beautiful place than Chandigarh. You can't have more talented pool of lawyers than Chandigarh today. You are, as you heard sir speaking, you are originator or source of the law or the case law or the jurisprudence in the North India. Barring Allahabad, maybe in the most part of North India here. Therefore, you have enough ingredients to come to that level as well. Sorry, sir.
Sir, I have one question. I have a specific question to Mr. Sachdeva and Mr. Siddharth. With regard to the entry of the foreign law firms, what do we see them as a threat, or do we have to see them as an opportunity? And Mr. Bhasin also, with his experience as a chairman of the Bar Council, I would like him to comment on that, because this is just as a draft right now.
Okay, I will answer to that, because I have been treated as a face of opposition to the entry of foreign law firms in India right from the year 96, 97, when they had tried to enter an Indian market. But we opposed it and we succeeded, because we wanted the Indian law firms to come up to that standard, you see, to face the challenge from the foreign law firms. And I am so proud to note that today, Indian law firms, and that as a matter of fact, the Indian legal profession is second to none in the world, you see. We have the intelligence, we have the caliber, we have the technology also now, which we were lacking at certain point of time. Therefore, from the year 2014 onwards, our Society of Indian Law Firm, we told the government that open up the market, we will face them. It will be a good competition, good for our younger people also. You see, to get acquainted with what is happening all over the world. It will be a unique experience. But after we told them that Indian profession is not opposed now, no progress has been made. The Bar Council of India has framed certain rules. Twice or thrice they have framed rules, then they withdrawn them. These days, I think last month only, Advocates Amendment Bill was introduced, which also dealt with, among other things, foreign lawyers. Again, that has been kept in abeyance. Therefore, at the moment, there is no possibility in the next at least 3-4 years for any foreign law firms to come officially and legally. Surreptitiously they may come, but legally it is not possible, you see, for them. So there is no threat from them. And if there is a threat, we can meet that challenge. Therefore, don't treat it as a threat. Possibly, we may pose a threat to them if they come to, India. So, I hope that is answered. Huh? Okay.
So hi, my name is Karanveer Singh. I've just founded a law firm called South Asian Law Chambers. So it's just been 4 months now. And so my question would be sort of to conclude this whole panel today, to everyone on the panel. What are the skill sets, apart from legal as well as technical skills, that are required to establish a law firm? For example, sir has mentioned entrepreneurial skills, right? And then there must be some client relation skills. What are some sort of these skills that are required to establish the law firm?
It is essentially knowledge which is required. You see, skills come later on. Therefore, you must firstly have the knowledge of the subjects that your firm wants to specialize in. That is paramount consideration. Skill development comes automatically when you start either appearing in courts or you are dealing with the clients on the corporate work. For that skill development, what is very important and significant is your expression. Expression. Expression is preceded by clarity of thought. You must know what is there, in this particular issue or what the client wants. How do you then express it? An expression can be in two ways. When you appear in the courts, your oral expression, your submission orally, it goes beyond, any saying that you do need some skill to do that, and you have to develop that skill. Other is your skill in legal writing. That is again of paramount, importance, because the judge will see what is written, what have you pleaded. If your pleadings are inaccurate or they are vague, then you fail at the threshold itself. Therefore, clarity of thought, clarity of expression, which includes oral as well as legal, and above all, your knowledge. Knowledge means not just reading the Contract Act and IPC and CPC and all that. Knowledge means what is contemporaneously happening in the country and outside the country. If you want to set up a law firm, it is very important for you to know what is the business environment, not just in your country, the potential of growth in our country, but also what is happening elsewhere in the world. Therefore, when I visit the law schools, I visit at least 2 law schools every month all over the country. I tell the final year students that you should read at least 2 newspapers. One newspaper is your national newspaper, which will give you all the general news, how many murders have been committed, how many this scams have taken place. But other is the financial newspapers. When we talk of law firms, necessarily it involves dealing with the clients, corporate clients. Therefore, your knowledge of business law also comes from reading those newspapers. So that is the skill development you need. It has to be like inherent part of your normal activity. You want to add something? Yeah.
Can I just add to that? As you start a firm, you definitely need to have a vision, right? And you should definitely, with your partners, whoever if at all you have more people, you should look at what values you want to have. And part of that, your skills will come from that. So we at JSA, many years back, sat together in a room, the partners discussed and said, okay, what is it that we are striving for? What is our vision? And it was agreed upon. So values. Values is collaboration, teamwork, continuous learning, integrity, and something with that Dr. Bhasin also just said, learning is a very important part. Exceeding client expectation and people matter. These are some of the values that we follow at JS.
Any more questions?
I'm planning to and I have this awesome opportunity because of my director, Madam Shruti. So my only question to you is, as a student, where I have a lot of time to explore and I certainly can't go into a specialization as of now, what should I do to someday possibly sit where you guys are as of now?
I wish I was a law professor to tell you what you should do. I think you should know yourself. How can you keep on learning more and more? That is where you can use the technology. You can use it as a research tool. And just don't read, you see, the acts, you see. Read also the commentaries on that, how it has been interpreted by the courts. That is a continuous learning process, not just for students, but even for us as lawyers. We learn every day. Because today there is a judgment, tomorrow that judgment will be overruled, even by the Supreme Court itself. Matters will be referred to larger benches. So we don't know what is, therefore it is a continuous learning process for those who are in the profession. So keep on learning, use the technology for this purpose.
I'll add to that. You're a student, enjoy student life as well. Enjoy your life in college. Okay? That's extremely important.
I want to add just a small thing, and not just to you, to every lawyer in the room here, is that lots of us are first generation lawyer, like me. I'm a first generation lawyer. My father, nobody in the family was a lawyer. We have reached here. We have not born here, first of all, okay? It's not that only we've been made to sit here. In my view, amongst all the things that we have to follow, we need to have a very strong level of conviction. And conviction means that we all are bound to see certain failures in our life. We may not be able to get the desired result for the client on the court. We may not be able to get the desired job that we're looking for. We may not be able to get the desired client that we're pitching for. We may not be able to get the desired fee that we have worked for. But what does that mean? It simply means that we should be able to do it again until we succeed. Keep doing it in your life until you succeed here. So when I speak about entrepreneurial skills, this is one of the ingredients of being entrepreneurial skill. As an entrepreneur, you will have to keep doing it until you have achieved your goal, your objective that you have set for yourself.
सर एक सेमिनार हुआ था जिसमें उनने बताया कि नानी पालिकी वाला ने जिनेवा में गए थे तो रात को चले और उनने सुप्रीम कोर्ट आके आर्गू करा, बहुत बड़े लॉयर हैं वो। तो ये हमारा सिस्टम जो टायर 2 सिटीज़ में वर्क कर रहा है, जैसे रोपड़ में कोई वर्क कर रहा है, नवा शहर में कोई एडवोकेट वर्क कर रहा है, उसकी लेबर या उसके एफर्ट्स को कब रिकॉग्नाइज करेगा?
देखिए, जहाँ तक डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट्स का क्वेश्चन है, उधर लैंग्वेज कोई बैरियर नहीं होता है। आई हैव सीन इन उत्तर प्रदेश ऑल्सो, इन दिल्ली ऑल्सो, एवरीवेयर डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट में पीपल कैन स्पीक इन हिंदी, उर्दू, व्हाटएवर। इन I think this part of the country, possibly in Punjabi also, you can, before the district courts, you can speak about. Therefore, that will not be a deficiency because you can express yourself. Yes. Now, obviously, when you go to the High Court, the constitutional language is English, whether you go to High Courts or Supreme Court. So you must know the language you see and what you want to submit. There also the option is given. If you can't argue properly, the procedure these days is you file written submissions. 3 pages, 4 pages, that is a general trend you see, that you file the written submission. So you can express yourself. Therefore you get the opportunity. But then there are always certain differences, Yeah.
I would like to add to that, sir. आप अगर अपना हाई कोर्ट देखेंगे और यहाँ इकोसिस्टम देखेंगे, यहाँ इतने वकील हैं जो छोटे डिस्ट्रिक्ट से आके they done so well and they've also been elevated to the bench, whether it's from Haryana, it's from Simla, whether it's from any small
ठीक है, सुनाई दे रहा है।
they've all got, they work hard part and they clear and they know that initially it takes time. So I think your ecosystem is extremely vibrant. It is meritorious, and please don't be dejected or overthink this. Even I am a first generation. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है कि lawyer का बेटा ही succeed करेगा या judge का बेटा ही succeed करेगा. ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है. I think it's a very egalitarian system. Believe in yourself, do hard work, and horses for courses. I mean, you get that now. Yeah.
Sir, there are a lot of people here who have been in the profession for 30 years. Firms are set up because we can't do everything on our own, right? So how did you choose your partners? What were your guidelines to think, okay, I can work with him, or what am I looking for in a partner with whom I can share that vision, and how did you come to that that ultimate answer that, okay, this is what I'm looking for? And that's particularly for Ajay, because, I mean, he's been part of a firm which is then split into two and still wanted to then, yeah.
Adding to what you just said, there's a premise that you've taken that there's work already which cannot be handled. Yes. So I would just like to add, how do you source work if you're planning to?
First you need to know who you can work with. So that's the first.
Guys, I think that tell you what, you cannot put the cart before the horse. That can't be done. So you really have to, to find what you want to do. As I just mentioned here, it may take some time, but find exactly what you want to do. And just do not compromise with your own thinking. What happens is that, maybe it's an old saying, is that if you love your work, you will not have to ever work again. Because you love it so much here, you don't take it as a work, you take it as if this is what your life is. And therefore, you really want to do excel in what you're doing. So whatever may come your way as a lawyer, so how did, let's say, we choose a path here? Of course, we did manage to get into a corporate law firm. Of course, before joining corporate law firm, I spent some time in courts to understand, am I really meant for that or not? And I am economics graduate from Sri Ram College of Commerce. I had a very high interest in economics and business, and therefore we reached here. Sorry, sir, we need to, yeah. And therefore I reached to a point where I realized that this economic part of the law is what I want to practice more. But if you have made up your mind, then there are ample opportunities out there, ample opportunities. As I'm saying, if you're not getting into your desired law firm, you should pick the next one or the next one or the next one here, and keep trying yourself to reach to that place where you want to reach in life. Sorry.
Answering to your question, selection of a partner is like a love marriage, not an arranged marriage. Arranged marriage is you don't know who the other person is. But when there is a love marriage, you know the person. Therefore, you have to be familiar with the person. Interview properly. Look at the command of language that he or she they have, and also the knowledge part of it. The formula that I use is, I give, some judgment, and I say you find the flaws in this judgment, prepare a note, short note. It takes only about half an hour, 40 minutes, and I take the decisions that very well the person can be trained, in my law firm. So finally, we come to the end, and as a parting advice, particularly to all the young lawyers here, this is a very jealous profession. Very jealous profession. You must have experienced it already, that there are no timings. And if you think of law firms, they have the worst possible timings. They will get the calls, from USA or from Japan at very odd hours, and you have to respond because of different time zones are there. But even in litigation, you finish the court work, you have to start for the next day's work, so it all goes on. Therefore, I really marvel, I am astonished how the ladies in the profession they manage. It is remarkable. We men can't do it. They are daughters, they are sisters, they are wives, they become mothers, then they have in-laws, they have to give work, the time you see for the profession, but without ignoring the fact that they have to tell or possibly make the meals, either lunch or dinner, what you see the family will have. So there is a bigger challenge. This is what we said on the 8th of March, the International Women Day, that the women, they represent the motherhood of the country. They are not just women, they are the mothers, So I really marvel how they do it. And we, the men folk, have to learn a lesson, because they don't compromise with the work also. I've seen it myself. In my office, we have more lady lawyers than men, you see, are there. And that has been there. My wife is a lawyer with 45 years of experience in the Supreme Court. But the way they handle things, giving instructions at home, doing briefing the counsel, senior counsel, appearing in the courts, it is remarkable. So we don't know what is the secret. I would be asking you and trying to learn something from our lady members, how they manage, the two fronts. Then when they have children, there's more responsibility, more and more responsibility. So it is, while I commend to my male colleagues here that it is a jealous profession, but try to help also the ladies at the home front also. Take away some of their responsibilities so that there is fairness. Their work should not just be appreciated, but you should be more helpful to them in performing certain household duties which can be easily done by the males instead of our ladies doing it. Therefore, keep that in mind, but also keep in mind that being a part of a law firm is not like a rosy path, you see, that you have to follow. It will have its own issues, problems, particularly the timings. And it is my experience, and it must be with most of the law firms, that they have to work, you see, throughout, virtually 24/7 in the law firms. While I am a litigation lawyer also, I can manage my court work, but sometimes when the corporate work comes, one has to burn the midnight lamp, you see, and do that. So with this, I present to you, this is a book written by the Society of Indian Law Firms. It is a role of the legal profession 75 years before independence and 75 years after independence. Lawyers of India in freedom struggle and in independent India, that is 1872 till 2022, 150 years, and continued glorious contribution towards the centennial, that is 2047. We have, from this profession only, we have had 12 presidents of India, 4 vice presidents of India, about 8 prime ministers of India, speakers of Lok Sabha, and so many ministers in the past also, now also. They give up their lucrative practices, you see, to do service for the country. That is the message of the legal profession. So I have great pleasure in handing over 3 copies. One you can keep it here in this library. This you can give to the Bar Association. And also
On behalf of the legal fraternity here at Chandigarh, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the honorable speakers and the Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, Justice Arun Palli, who is the President of Indian Law Institute State Unit. And we thank our esteemed speakers for providing us intricacies of the law firms and how do we go about it. And we appreciate your time and effort and sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you.
my one suggestion, just 1 minute please. My one suggestion to all of you is make yourself more visible by participating in various events which are organized either by the bar associations, and if I receive, you see, your contact details, we will help you in participating in so many seminars and webinars that our Society of Indian Law Firm, you see, that will give you some contribution towards your knowledge enhancement. So please, you can always join webinars, may not be seminars, but they are very instructive, very useful by top experts of the country. So
Yes.